What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If. If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my third channel, so if you want some more what ifs, go check out my other channels. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Hokage's office. Tsunade collapsed in her chair and sighed in relief, dealing with those idiots on the civilian council, and those two old fossils. Hamura and Koharu always tested her patience to the limit. She was only glad that she didn't have to deal with that withered old mummy Danzo, because in the kind of mood she was in, she would have killed them all if he talked about making her son a weapon or any such nonsense. Tsunade knew that for all of Danzo's spiel about loyalty to Konoha and sacrificing everything for Konoha, he never seemed to do anything of that sort. He only cared about taking actions which helped in his goal to become Hokage. He would do anything and sacrifice anyone to achieve his goal of becoming Hokage. She cursed Sarutobi-sensei for sparing the life of that bloody snake Danzo, along with sparing Orochimaru, and now that bloody mummy was too well connected to uproot, but she had a plan to take care of that bastard, deciding to take her mind of such irritating topics. Tsunade turned her attention to her son Sochi. It will take some time for Shizen to get here as she is performing an emergency procedure at the hospital. In the meanwhile, why don't you tell me how your training has progressed, as I only know about your progress in taijutsu as I regularly spar with you. Well, Kachin, I am on level 4 of my resistance seals, and I have completed the first stage of nature manipulation exercises for all the 5 basic elements, though it took a little bit longer for Earth and Fire. I have started the second stage of nature manipulation exercises for my affinities, and after completing that I will do the same for Fire and Earth. I am currently not learning any new ninjutsu, but instead am trying to master and refine the jutsus I already know so that I can use them at a higher level. And as for Kenjutsu, Yugao Sensei says that I can match a high genin and pure Kenjutsu technique, but I can with ease fight mid-chunin level opponents with a sword due to my speed and power advantage, and I have progressed to level 4 of the Fuinjutsu volumes, which consists of the basics of barrier and security seals, which includes methods to detect chakra and motion using seals, and I can now continuously substitute myself with a kunai 12 times in a row without a break before it starts taking a toll on me. And Shizen Nachan said that I have mastered the chakra scalpels as well as the mystic palm jutsu, and said that my poison resistance training is also going very well, as my healing factor is apparently making sure that once I am exposed to a poison it will no longer affect me in the future. As for poison preparation, Shizen Nachan has taught me how to prepare 1 hemotoxin, 1 cytotoxin, 1 paralytic agent, and 1 neurotoxin, as well as how to prepare their antidotes. Naruto said, giving his mother a brief synopsis of his progress in his shinobi training. To say the least, Tsunade was very ecstatic at the progress of her son, because from what she had seen of his taijutsu, he was easily chunin level, and that if he released his resistance seals, and from his answer to her question she could tell that he was at about the same level in all the other fields he was interested in. And she was also happy that her son was not being a fool and trying to cram his head full of ninjutsu, but instead was trying to master those that he knew so that he could use those at a higher level at lesser chakra cost, rather than using higher level jutsu which cost a lot more chakra. As although he had a vast amount of chakra, there was no need to waste it in a battle. She knew that Naruto would have been the ideal student for Sarutobi-sensei in ninjutsu, with how fast he had completed the first level of the nature manipulation exercises for all the elements, and his instinctive understanding when it came to ninjutsu. He was also similar to her sensei in the sense that he was apparently a perfectionist in everything that he did. But Shizen Nachan also told me that you are the greatest poison expert in the elemental nations. Is it true, Kachin? Naruto asked. Tsunade was never one for false modesty, so she just nodded her head in agreement and said yes. Sochi-kun, what Shizen said is true. I was the main reason that Konoha managed to defeat Suna and Kiri in the Second Shinobi War, as I neutralized all their poisons, and even poisoned the so-called poison experts of those villages, earning me the name of the Queen of Elixirs. But what most people don't know is Shizen is my equal or better in that field. Tsunade admitted. What is Kakashi training you in? Sochi Tsunade asked. Well, he is training me in how to fight multiple enemies at once and use their advantage in numbers against them, and also on what type of jutsu to use in what situations. He is also training me in how to combat shinobi from various nations, as he has battled against all of them in his career, and is teaching me how to counter the specialties of shinobi of every shinobi village. And he is also training Me in tracking with the help of his dog summons. He is also helping me with creating and maintaining a bigger version of the Rasengan that I found in my father's scroll called the Utama Rasengan, but I am having a little trouble with it as I am not able to control such a large amount of pure chakra moving chaotically inside a shell of chakra, as it seems that my chakra control is still not good enough. Naruto said, I will teach you a few of the more advanced chakra control exercises that I discovered to gain perfect control over my massive chakra reserves, but that will have to wait till your B rank mission is complete. Tsunade said, as chakra control was her speciality and she would definitely help her son improve his chakra control, which was currently Jounin level, which was very good for someone whose chakra reserves were Hokage level and in her opinion would equal that of her grandfather, the Shodame Hokage, in his prime. But her grandfather had perfect control over his massive chakra reserves, which were the highest she had known any person to have. It was even higher than Kisame, who was known as the Tailless Bijou for his massive chakra reserves, and she wanted her son to have perfect chakra control over his massive reserves, which would make him a terror on the battlefield. Tsunade also planned to start teaching her son the secret to her super strength technique after getting his chakra control to the required level, as it would make a dangerous combo with his high speed. And while Tsunade would also be teaching it to her apprentice, she really didn't have high hopes for Sakura when it came to combat, as that girl never took initiative to train on her own to expand her combat abilities and never worked hard to increase her meager chakra reserves. So while Sakura was gifted when it came to medical ninjutsu, that definitely didn't extend to her combat ability, and that girl was also not suited for genjutsu, as while she had an incredible memory, she had next to no creativity, which was essential for a genjutsu user. All she had going for her was her excellent rote memory and incredible chakra control, but whatever advantage was offered by her near-perfect chakra control was offset by her meager chakra reserves. Shaking herself out of her musings, Tsunade saw Shizen enter her office while still in her hospital outfit. Ah, you are here, Shizen. Good. Tsunade said, sorry Naruto-kun, I was delayed at the hospital, Shizen said as she entered the Hokage's office and found Tsunade and Naruto waiting for her as they chatted with each other. Now that I am here, we can get a mission and get going, Shizen said. So what mission would you like to pick? Another C rank mission, Tsunade asked. I would like a B ranked mission. Tsunade-sama, Naruto has already completed 4 C rank missions in the past month, one of which was upgraded to an A ranked mission. I think he is ready for a B rank mission, and also I would be there in case there are any complications, Shizen informed Tsunade about her choice of mission as well as her justification for it. Tsunade thought about it for a moment and replied, if you are sure, then I don't see any reason to deny it, and looked through the pile of B-ranked missions on her desk which were waiting for approval. There is a request for help from a bridge builder named Tazuna from Wave Country. He is apparently the new mayor of Wave Country and is seeking our help in freeing his daughter and grandson from whoever kidnapped them and is blackmailing him to hand over control of Wave Country's strategic ports to them. And there's also a request for help from Tori no Kuni, Tsunade said. As soon as Tsunade mentioned Tazuna and Wave Country, Naruto perked up and immediately said, Kachin, if you don't mind, we would like to take the mission to Wave Country. You see, I was already on a mission to Wave Country once and I am familiar with the place as well as the client Tazuna. And when asked for clarification by Tsunade and Shizen, Naruto recounted for them the mission details of his first C-rank mission with Team 7. After hearing all the details, Tsunade saw no reason not to send Shizen and Naruto to Wave Country, especially when Naruto was already familiar with the area, which could be a very useful advantage. Seeing as the mission was decided, Tsunade gave them the actual mission details. Apparently many people have been kidnapped, and not just Tazuna's family, and they have been warned against contacting any shinobi village for help. Apparently the culprit is some person called Guru, who is apparently the son of that midget Gata that you mentioned. He apparently took back control of all the erstwhile assets of Gata % there and then proceeded to kidnap all these people in order to scare and threaten the entire population into submission. He apparently also had a lot of thugs and even a few shinobi on his payroll, but there are no details on who the shinobi are. Tazuna sent this request for help secretly through a fisherman who slipped the security of Guru. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to free those hostages, kill Guru and his goons, and secure the ports of Wave Country as well as the new bridge connecting Wave Country to Fire Country, which might be used as a staging point to bring across an enemy army to Konoha, as that part is not at all well protected, and see if you can't set up a military alliance between Wave Country and Fire Country so that we can officially station some of Our shinobi there as security preventing such events from happening again in the future as well as securing our borders from our enemy, Tsunade said. After listening to all the pertinent information, Shizen ordered Naruto to pack his belongings for a 3-day mission and to meet her at their home. After Naruto had left the office, Tsunade addressed Shizen and said, "Shizen, be careful on this mission. I have a feeling that this guru may have the support of some of our enemy nations, as capturing Wave Country would be very useful for them, and without this request for help from them we would have been unable to do anything about the situation short of declaring war on them and freeing Wave Country from this guru's clutches. My intuition tells me that this guru is just a puppet for either IWA or Kumo, so please be careful and expect to meet resistance in the form of either Kumo or IWA shinobi or shinobi from some minor village which are allied with the above 2 villages." After carefully listening to Tsunade's concerns, Shizen promised to stay cautious and on guard for any escalation in the dangers of the mission and plan accordingly, and then took leave as she headed to the Senju compound to get ready for the mission. An hour later we find Naruto and Shizen speeding through the dense forests of Fire Country as they headed towards the east coast of Fire Country, from where they planned to reach Wave Country by sea, as the bridge was apparently under the control of Guru, and even though they could easily take care of any of Guru's forces that were guarding the bridge to Wave, their primary objective was to rescue all the hostages before engaging the enemy directly, as it may put the life of the hostages at risk, which was not acceptable to them. So they planned to sneak into Wave Country and conduct reconnaissance on their enemy and find out the location of the hostages and free them, and once that was done they would be free to engage them in open combat without the fear of inadvertently causing the death of innocent civilians who might be caught in the conflict. It took a few hours, but they eventually reached the location on the east coast of Fire Country, which was nearest to Wave Country, and once they reached the coast, Shizen addressed Naruto. "Naruto-kun, I think it would be best if we rested for a while, as we will have to cross the sea to Wave Country in one go and be ready to fight as soon as we reach Wave, as we may not have time to rest after reaching our destination. We will also need to make sure that we enter Wave Country undetected, which might be a little difficult if there are any sensors present among the shinobi supporting Guru." Naruto thought for a while and said, "I might have a way." "What is it, Naruto?" Shizen asked. "It is a modified barrier seal that I am working on. It makes sure the people inside the barrier are undetectable, as it utilizes Suetun chakra to bend light around the barrier, thereby forming an optical illusion of invisibility, making it impossible to see with the naked eye, and it also stops chakra sensors from sensing the chakra of persons inside the barrier by acting as a chakra sink, as it absorbs the wave of chakra emitted by a sensor in order to identify other chakra sources by pinging them with a wave of his own chakra like a sonar. But my barrier seal, instead of letting the wave of chakra pinging on it and returning to the sensor, it absorbs the wave of chakra, basically making the user of the seal immune to detection via chakra sensing and also through vision. I sense a but coming." "What is it, Naruto?" Shizen asked. "Well, you see, Nechan, I designed this seal to camouflage a stationary target or a small place and not for 2 moving persons, so I will need to modify it heavily in order to make use of it, so I will need a few hours and a lot of my clones to modify it to work in camouflaging and hiding a moving target," Naruto said. Shizen saw no problems with that and said, "No problem, Naruto, but try to complete it as fast as possible, as speed is of the essence in this mission." Naruto indicated his assent with a nod and immediately created 10 shadow clones, and then he unsealed his sealing supplies and then unsealed a black scroll which consisted the formula of his camouflage seal, and set to work modifying his personal invention, with each of his clones working on modifying a part of the seal which they had all copied onto their own blank scroll. Shizen looked on in fascination as Naruto and his clones kept working for nearly 2.5 hours, occasionally arguing among themselves about the modifications and muttering about some sealing formulas that to her sounds like absolute gibberish. After nearly 3 hours, Shizen was shook out of her empty ponderings as Naruto said to her, "Nechan, I have done the best I can give in our current situation, but it can be better. We can use it on the move, but I will have to continuously supply chakra to the seal as we move in order to keep it active, and it is going to take me a lot of chakra, so I won't be able to walk on water while keeping the seal active, so you will have to carry me as we move over the sea to Wave Country." Shizen just shrugged and said, "You did an excellent job, Naruto, and I definitely don't have any problem carrying you, as it wouldn't be much of a problem for a jounin like me, but make sure to deactivate your resistance seals, as we might need to fight as soon as we reach Wave, and you can still fight using taijutsu and kenjutsu even If your chakra reserves are depleted from keeping the seal active for a long time. As they prepared to leave for Wave Country, Shizen asked a question that had been bugging her for a while. Naruto-kun, where did you get the idea for this seal? The concept of using Suiton chakra to make yourself invisible seems familiar. Oh, that I got that idea from reading about the second Tsuchikage Mu, and how he used to make himself invisible using Suiton manipulation, but I am nowhere near proficient enough to do that yet, so I came up with this seal to do that elemental manipulation till I was good enough in using Suiton chakra to do it myself. Shizen nodded her head in agreement as she praised Naruto's ingenuity with seals, as he recreated the second Tsuchikage jutsu through just reading about it in a book, even if it was just a makeshift version of it, and as Naruto dispelled all his clones and painted the finished seal on a blank scroll, using his blood, thereby establishing a link between himself and the Fuinjutsu formula on the scroll, and using himself as the anchor for the portable barrier seal that he had designed, and then flashed through 56 hand signs and slammed his right hand on the scroll and whispered out aloud, Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, Null Man Field, and immediately a bubble of transparent chakra formed around Naruto and Shizen, who was standing beside him. As she looked at Naruto's Fuinjutsu at work, Naruto grunted out and swayed slightly as he felt the chakra cost for the activation of the Fuinjutsu, but Shizen steadied him and lifted him in her arms and placed him on her back as she raced off across the surface of the sea towards a secret cove that Tazuna had showed Naruto on his previous visit to Wave Country. It took nearly 1.5 hours of traveling at mid-chunin speed, but Shizen finally reached the secret cove in Wave Country. All the while she carried Naruto on her back as he channeled an enormous amount of chakra to maintain the seal barrier around them, and as they landed on the shore of Wave Country, Naruto got down from her back and both of them soon made camp in a densely forested part of the island near the coast, and Naruto secured it by applying the static version of his seal by using 6 chakra storage seals, each filled with the chakra capacity of a jounin that he had prepared beforehand. As a precaution, he placed these 6 tags as anchor points around the camp and activated the barrier, and only then did Naruto release the Null Man seal active around him and Shizen, who was very close to him, as the portable seal enclosed only a very small area, nothing more than 2 people standing close to each other. Naruto flashed through 30 hand signs and slammed it on the ground as he softly intoned Uzumaki Kekai Jutsu, presence nullifying barrier, and as soon as the transparent barrier was set up and activated around their small camp, Naruto released the Null Man Field seal and collapsed to the ground in relief, as that seal had consumed more than 2/3 of his chakra reserves, and that was taking a toll on him even though he was still physically fully refreshed. After taking a few minutes to alleviate the strain on him from keeping such a chakra-taxing seal for such a long time, Naruto turned toward Shizen, who was also taking a few minutes to catch her breath, and said, "Nei-chan, we are now secure for a few hours." "Good, Naruto-kun. Meanwhile, after you recover your chakra, I want you to send a few of your shadow clones hinged as civilians to scout ahead of us, and also to try to meet Tazuna the bridge builder so that we can find out more information about what we are facing." Naruto nodded in assent and spent the next hour trying to extend the range of his sensing to see if he could sense any enemy shinobi, but his range with his sensing talent was still only a little more than 1 mile, so he didn't have any luck in that aspect. Shizen, however, was a much stronger sensor than Naruto currently, and she managed to sense a few hundred civilian chakra signatures along with 3 genin level and 1 low jounin level chakra signatures 3 miles from their current location. After nearly an hour and recovering a half of his chakra reserves, Naruto created 3 shadow clones and hinged them to appear like birds and sent them off to the location where Shizen had sensed the shinobi. The thing about shadow clones that he loved was that since they were purely non-elemental chakra constructs, he could have them transform into any objects within a certain size range, so making them transform into birds and having them spy on enemies was a dead useful skill. To have thought there was the issue of them being sensed by talented sensors even if they were flying high above them, but thankfully chakra sensors were highly rare, and especially chakra sensors with a long range like the Yondaime were very rare. Naruto also sent 2 shadow clones to Tazuna's house to see if there was anyone keeping watch over him, and also to see if they could meet with Tazuna and learn some new useful information, and another 3 clones were sent to scout the entirety of Wave Country and find the location of Guru and the kind of forces that he has at his disposal. The Naruto clones disguised as birds slowly made their way to the location that Shizen had sensed. It took them a while to get used to flying as a bird, but they quickly got the hang of it, and within a few minutes, they swiftly reached their destination. As they slowly circled it from above. It looked like an abandoned large warehouse. They carefully landed on the roof of the warehouse and took a look around the warehouse to see that there were about 20 thugs acting as guards around the warehouse. They sensed that the shinobi that Shizen had sensed were inside the warehouse. Seeing that they had the outside of the warehouse covered, 3 of them entered the warehouse through ventilation shafts on the roof of the warehouse. They settled on the rafters of the warehouse and looked around to see what looked like mostly children and women being held hostage by around 50 thugs and 4 shinobi, 3 of them genin and 1 jounin, and none of them looked like much. 3 of the shinobi, the genins, were all genin, but the jounin was a woman, and they were all wearing kimono attires. None of the clones were caught, and after retreating to a safe distance from the warehouse, they dispelled, sending back the memories to the original. The 2 clones that Naruto had sent to Tazuna's house to spy on Tazuna and see if he was spied upon found that Naruto's suspicions were true, and there were 3 thugs keeping an eye on Tazuna's house. So the clones decided to meet with Tazuna by hinging into a mouse and enter the house. After entering the house, they saw the elderly bridge builder looking extremely unkempt, sporting a scraggly beard and drinking from a bottle of sake. In fact, the whole kitchen was littered with empty sake bottles and was reeking from the smell of alcohol. Deciding to get on with their task and knowing that they had no use for Tazuna in his current drunk state, the clones transformed back to their human form, and one of them clamped his hand over Tazuna's mouth to keep him from shouting, and another clone carried him to the sink, and together they dunked Tazuna's head in water and kept him like that for a few moments before allowing him to come up for air, and then repeated the process a few more times. Tazuna was not sure why someone was waterboarding him as he was trying to drink away his sorrows. He couldn't believe how quickly the fortune of his people had turned. After getting rid of Gado, they had recovered quickly, and soon Wave was once again a flourishing economy and trade center. But seemingly from nowhere, Guru came claiming to be Gado's son and kidnapped women and children from every household in Wave and had killed the daimyo of Wave, with the backing of 2 teams of shinobi from Kumo, therefore making Guru the unofficial daimyo of Wave. He just hoped that the letter he had sent to Konoha had reached the Hokage, otherwise they couldn't interfere in Wave, as Guru and the Kumo shinobi kept boasting about their ingenious plan for the takeover of Wave. As the person keeping his head underwater finally stopped his actions, Tazuna felt his head clear off the buzz caused by his alcohol drinking binge. He finally turned around to see who interrupted his drinking, to see 2 copies of Naruto. Tazuna couldn't believe this. Never in his wildest dreams did he think that his desperate gamble would work, but it had somehow worked, as he took in the visage of Naruto in front of him. One of the clones, the one who had been clamping his hand on Tazuna's mouth, signaled for him not to shout as he removed his hand. Tazuna followed the instructions and kept quiet as the clones completely released him. Seeing as Tazuna was keeping quiet, one of the clones started questioning him while the other clone kept watch over the house. "Thank you for coming, Naruto. I was not sure that my letter would even reach Konoha," Tazuna said, interrupting Naruto before he could start his questioning. The clone raised his hand to silence Tazuna before he could start rambling. Ash didn't seem like he would stop now. "Tazuna-san, it is good to see you too, but now is not the time for pleasantries. We need to know how many people have been kidnapped and how many shinobi we are going to face," Naruto said in a serious, no-nonsense voice. Hearing the seriousness in Naruto's voice, Tazuna replied back with equal seriousness, "Gaki, there is a hostage from every family. They are all being held in a warehouse a few miles from the secret cove where I smuggled your team to Wave the last time. There are about 100 thugs and a shinobi team from Kumo guarding them, but a few women are also being held prisoner at the daimyo's palace. Guru has been living in the daimyo's palace after slaughtering the daimyo and his entire family. There is another Kumo shinobi team guarding him along with a few hundred thugs. That is all I know. You have to save them." Gaki the clone nodded, taking in the information, and replied, "We are clones. We will dispel, and the original will get the memories, and you should make sure that the 3 thugs watching over your house don't get a clue that you have interacted with anyone, so keep behaving like you have for the past few days. We will first free all the hostages, and then we will deal with Guru and his goons and the Kumo shinobi with them." After Tazuna nodded in agreement, both the Naruto clones dispelled themselves, sending the memories back to the original. The original Naruto blinked once as he received the memories from the clones he had sent out as scouts. "All the hostages are in a warehouse a few miles from here. The opposition we will face is nearly 100 goons and 4 shinobi, all from Kumo, and all have lightning affinity except 1 genin who has water affinity. But a lot of the goons are inside the warehouse, and we might harm the hostages if we engage in combat inside the warehouse. And Guru is located in the daimyo's palace with a few hundred goons and 4 more Kumo shinobi, 2 of whom are genin, 1 is a chunin and 1 is a jounin. A few of the women hostages are in the daimyo's palace with Guru who is apparently using them as entertainment for himself and his goons, but those are mostly young girls, Naruto said, informing Shizen about the information that he had received. Good Naruto, first we will focus on rescuing and securing the hostages. A shadow clone of mine and a few of yours will go to the daimyo's palace and secure the hostages present there in prisoner transport scrolls for easy transport, while us both will rescue the majority of the hostages in the warehouse, Shizen said. But how will we avoid harm to the hostages as they are also in the warehouse along with the shinobi and nearly 50 goons? Naruto asked. I will use my poison mist to release a concentrated sleeping agent into the warehouse after taking care of the goons acting as guards. This will take care of the goons inside the warehouse and also maybe the genin, and once the shinobi rush outside to escape the poisonous mist we can take care of them without risking the safety of the hostages, Shizen said, laying out her plan to Naruto. We will move under the cover of darkness, so get ready once it is dark to move towards the warehouse, Shizen said. Under the cover of darkness, Naruto and Shizen approached the warehouse, all the while suppressing their chakra signature as much as possible. Naruto took but a second to sense that there were still 20 goons roaming around the boundaries of the warehouse as guards along with 2 genins. He could sense that the other genin and the jounin were inside the warehouse. Naruto flashed through a few hand seals and softly stamped on the ground, and in a few moments an earth clone of Naruto emerged from the ground behind each of the 20 goons at once and slit their throats simultaneously. The 2 genin noticed this, but before they could react to this, Naruto and Shizen suddenly appeared behind them in a burst of pure speed, clamping their mouths shut with their hands and tapped the base of their spines with their respective chakra scalpels, killing them on the spot before they could raise an alarm as Naruto and Shizen attacked them with such speed that they couldn't even react to attack on them. After taking care of the guards, Shizen climbed onto the roof of the warehouse and took a deep breath and flashed through hand seals as she intoned Ninpo Dokujiri Jutsu and blew out a cloud of poisonous mist which had the effect of making the target fall asleep in just a little while, and then Naruto used a small wind jutsu to make the poisonous mist spread throughout the warehouse faster, and then Shizen and Naruto waited near the entrance of the warehouse for anyone who might escape the sleeping effect of the mist, and as per their expectations no one but the jounin escaped the warehouse. The female jounin came running out of the warehouse with her sole remaining genin hanging unconscious from where he was leaving from her shoulder. Shizen didn't allow the Kumo jounin to recover from her panic at seeing all her men fall asleep along with her sole remaining genin inside the warehouse, and immediately set upon her with both her palms glowing slightly with the enhancement of chakra scalpels. The Kumo Kunoichi was not able to hold off Shizen with the added burden of her unconscious genin hanging onto her, and she didn't even feel her life leaving her as Shizen used her chakra scalpel to inflict a blow to her heart, killing the Kumo Kunoichi instantly, and then Shizen immediately twisted and snapped the neck of the remaining genin who was unconscious, as they still had their job to complete and didn't have anywhere to keep the genin prisoner. And then Shizen and Naruto put on face masks covering the lower half of their faces with seals on them which filtered the air they breathed. They set about killing all the goons, as they were easy to distinguish from the hostages who were all women and children and a few rare elderly people. And then Shizen had a few shadow clones of Naruto clean up the bodies of all the goons and shinobi and use some earth jutsu to bury the bodies in the near woods. They let the kidnapped people sleep as they would wake up in a few hours, and in the meanwhile they could secure the hostages that Naruto and her clones were rescuing from the daimyo's palace, and then they would go and deal with Guru and his men and the remaining shinobi. Hopefully they could finish up with their work before the kidnapped people all woke up and started to wonder about what happened. And a few minutes later a clone of Shizen and a clone of Naruto arrived at the warehouse and handed over 3 modified prisoner transportation scrolls to the original Naruto, who opened them to release 50 young women who were obviously prisoners to Guru and from the looks of it were assaulted by Guru and his men. Shizen created a few water clones to soothe and comfort the women they had freed from the daimyo's palace, and while the water clones of Shizen tried to comfort the rescued women, the original Naruto and Shizen took a moment to go over the memories they had received from their shadow clones that had rescued the women from the daimyo's palace, and they both went over the layout of the daimyo's palace. There are no more innocent civilians in the daimyo's palace, as our clones also brought with them the servants as well, so we can use our more destructive jutsu without worry to take out the enemy shinobi and goons, Shizen told Naruto. So on a signal from Shizen both of them burst into speed as they raced off to the daimyo's palace to finish the rest of their mission, and as soon as they neared The daimyo's palace. They found that the palace was on high alert as it seemed that the rescue of the kidnapped women had been discovered. Naruto created 10 shadow clones and Shizen created 15 water clones to deal with the goons, as the original Naruto and Shizen raced off to deal with the Kumo shinobi that they could both sense, and Naruto unsealed his sword and channeled wind chakra through the blade of Beneheim, increasing its already deadly edge, as he rushed at full speed at one of the genin who was rushing towards him with his sword unsheathed and sparkling with lightning chakra. Naruto swung his sword at the opposite genin's chest and he blocked it with his lightning-enhanced blade, but was surprised to see Naruto's sword cleave his blade in two and then went on to carve into his lungs, killing him instantly before he could recover from the shock of seeing his sword cleaved in two. And Naruto suddenly found himself with two swords impaled through his stomach from behind, but he just smirked and exploded, indicating that he was an exploding shadow clone, blowing one of the two remaining Kumo genin to smithereens. But one genin escaped the explosion with a timely kawarimi, but as soon as he substituted himself with a log, he found himself with a sword through his throat as Naruto was waiting for him, as he had sensed where he was substituting to. After finishing off the genin, Naruto turned to see how the fight between the jounin was going on and saw that Shizen had him handled, as while he was still fighting with Shizen he seemed to be poisoned, as he was clearly sweating from just this small fight, and Naruto could see his legs trembling. Deciding to finish off the fight, Naruto created 10 shadow clones and had them rush the Kumo jounin, and Shizen jumped back to get some space. The Kumo jounin cleaved through all the shadow clones easily, only for all of them to explode violently, resulting in a massive explosion. The jounin luckily escaped using a timely kawarimi, but he didn't completely escape the brunt of the explosion, as he was slightly burnt and was a little disoriented from the explosion and couldn't do much, as Shizen appeared behind him in a burst of speed and tapped the base of his spine with a chakra scalpel, killing him instantly. Then Shizen and Naruto entered the grounds of the daimyo's palace to find that their clones were mopping up the last remaining goons alive after the clones had killed the almost entirety of 200 goons at Guru's disposal. Seeing as their clones had the matter well in hand, Shizen and Naruto went around the palace looking for Guru to kill him and end this matter once and for all. And as they searched the entire palace for Guru, Naruto and Shizen made sure to kill any thug that they could find who was hiding in the palace. Finally they found Guru in the daimyo's office, with his door being guarded by 2 rogue samurai and 6 of his goons. Naruto simply flashed through hand signs and blew out a big fireball as he softly intoned Katan Gokaku Jutsu, while a clone adjacent to him took a deep breath and blew out a massive gust of wind as he softly intoned Futon Diatapa. This wind-enhanced fireball burned the goons and the samurai to ashes, as they didn't have anywhere to escape the blazing inferno in the narrow corridor. The intense heat and the explosion caused by the combination jutsu also blew open the heavily fortified door to the daimyo's office. After using a water jutsu to put out the fire and making sure that all the guards were dead, Naruto and Shizen entered the daimyo's office and immediately ducked under the swords swung at their heads and immediately attacked their opponents, who turned out to be another pair of samurai. Naruto immediately blocked the sword of his opponent with Beneheim and then channeled wind chakra through his sword to cleave through his opponent's sword, and then taking advantage of the shock of his opponent, Naruto decapitated him with a single stroke of his sword, and then saw that Shizen had also finished with her opponent, who laid on the ground dead from Shizen using her chakra scalpel to attack his heart. After making sure that there were no more surprise guards in the room, Naruto and Shizen looked around but could not find Guru anywhere in the room, but they used their sensing ability to find him hiding behind in a secret passageway in the office, and Shizen used Tsunade's super strength technique to smash open the wall with a single punch, and then she proceeded to drag him out kicking and screaming. It seemed that Guru was a reasonably tall man. Unlike his father, who was a midget, he was a heavy-set man standing at about 6 feet in height, but he was no match for a trained shinobi like Shizen. "You damn bitch, I will gave you raped by my men and killed, let me go, you damn bitch," he shouted at Shizen. She just smirked at him and said in a sickly sweet voice, "You don't seem to be able to grasp the situation you are currently in. All your men are dead. The shinobi that Kumo sent to support your attempted coup are also dead. You are the only one alive, and we are going to hand you over to the people of Wave. I am really interested in seeing how they torture you before killing you," Shizen said sadistically, taking pleasure in the frightened whimpers coming from this pathetic piece of swine who had many of the young women that he had kidnapped raped by himself and his men as entertainment. As the precariousness of his situation finally dawned on him, Guru pissed his pants in fear and begged the 2 shinobi before him, "Please save me. I will give my entire fortune to you both. Just please safely escort me to the borders of Wave and I will amp you both some of the richest people in the elemental nations. Naruto, who was standing behind Guru, exchanged a smirk with Shizen and said in a serious voice, "Nachan, that is a very good offer. We would no longer have to risk our lives for the village. We can retire and live our life in luxury." Shizen nodded and said, "You are right, Naruto-kun, that is indeed a very good offer. I think we should take it." Guru was internally cackling with glee at how gullible these shinobi were. There was no way that he was handing over his father's fortune to them. Once he was safely away from Wave Country, he would kill both of them in their sleep, and then he would take over some other nation. But his hopes were dashed as Shizen said, "You will sign over all your wealth to us. In fact, you will make a list of all your assets and legally hand over them all to us, and only then we will safely escort you out of Wave Country." And as Guru tried to argue, she just said, in a steely voice, "This is the only deal you are going to get, so take it or leave it." Guru cursed the stupid bitch, as she seemed to be too smart to fall for his tricks, but he ultimately decided to comply as he could always earn back the money. But first he had to be alive to do that. He took out a legal paper from the daimyo's desk and wrote an agreement signing over all his money and all his assets by name to the two shinobi, and then stamped the paper with his personal seal belonging to the chairman of Gado Industries. As soon as he signed over to them his entire assets, Shizen snapped his neck and said in a sweet and cheerful voice, "Well, that was the only mercy you were going to get from me. It is much better than what your fate would have been had I handed you over to the citizens of Wave. Consider it a gift from me for all the wealth you have just given us. Are we really going to keep all this?" Nachan, Naruto asked Shizen in disbelief when he looked over all the assets all over the elemental nations and money now in their name, and saw that it went into hundreds of millions of ryo. "Ha, not at all. We will hand over half of it, mostly the assets, to the people of Wave Country, and the other half, which is in money, we will split between us both, as it is technically spoils of our mission, and we are allowed to keep them so nobody can even complain about it," Shizen said in a smug voice. Shizen lifted Guru's corpse and handed it to Naruto's clone to carry. "Come on, Naruto, after we hand over Guru's corpse to the villagers, we have to take care of any remaining goons of his, and then see about establishing a formal alliance between Wave Country and Fire Country," Shizen said as she began walking out of the daimyo's palace. It was morning by the time Naruto and Shizen had made sure all the goons of Guru were dead. Seeing that that part of the mission was complete, they headed over to Tazuna's house to inform him that his daughter and grandson were safe and that all the kidnapped people that Guru had taken as hostages were safe. After managing to console Tazuna, who was overcome by emotion and kept repeatedly thanking them, Naruto and Shizen, along with the help of the villagers, managed to get all the kidnapped people back to their homes. It was evening when all the villagers assembled near the daimyo's palace and saw that Guru was indeed dead. Shizen addressed the gathering and, using chakra to amplify her voice, she loudly announced, "Guru is dead and half of his assets have been handed over to the people of Wave." She had written down an agreement in that regard and was waiting to hand it over to the next daimyo of Wave. "I will hand it over to the next daimyo of Wave. It is up to you people to elect him / her, but my opinion is Tazuna, as he is the one who built that massive marvelous bridge to help the people of Wave Country, even risking his life in doing so, and he was also the one who managed to send a letter to Konoha asking for help in freeing you people from Guru, without which we would have been unable to interfere here. In fact, he is also your current mayor, so he has already experienced this. Is just my opinion, but please think carefully on my words," she said. Tazuna, who was waiting patiently to the side, caught her hand and whispered harshly, "Lady, are you out of your mind? What made you think about suggesting my name for daimyo? I am an old drunken bridge builder." He started panicking at the thought of becoming daimyo. Naruto laid a hand on Tazuna's shoulder and squeezed gently, comforting him as he said, "Ajisen, you will do a wonderful job. Don't worry, you know what is good for your people, as you are already working as mayor for the port town. It is the same job that you are supposed to do for the entire country." Tazuna calmed down a bit but was still worried, and to his displeasure he was elected as the daimyo unanimously, and as soon as he was elected, Shizen proposed to him about a security alliance between Wave Country and Konoha, under which Wave would have to pay a small amount in taxes to Konoha, and Konoha would in turn be responsible for providing security to Wave Country, and so would legally station a few ANBU teams in Wave, preventing situations like Guru or Gado from happening again. And she also handed over the control of Guru's non-money assets to Tazuna, which he gratefully accepted. Tazuna was more than happy to sign a security alliance with Konoha, as it would ensure their safety in the future, and also because Konoha had been extremely generous and good to them. It was the first document that he signed and stamped as the daimyo of Wave, and in remembrance of this new alliance, Tazuna announced a night of celebration in Wave with Naruto and Shizen as guests, and Naruto and Shizen were more than happy to agree, as they were in no hurry to return to Wave. And as the celebration was in full swing, Naruto was suddenly assaulted as a small child crashed into his mid section as he ran at him full pelt while shouting Naruto Nikon. Naruto immediately recognized the child and laughed out aloud as he separated himself from the child and said, "Well, look who is all grown up. How are you, Inari?" "Naruto Nikon, thank you for saving us. I was brave like you told me to be. I never cried. You can ask my Kachin," he said, pointing to his mother who had also approached Naruto. "It is good to see you again, Naruto-kun, and thank you for saving us from Guru," she said. "Oh, the little Gaki in orange has definitely grown up. He is now all serious. You have definitely justified our hope and faith in you when we named the bridge after you." Naruto Tazuna praised Naruto. Naruto was shocked and asked, "What do you mean you named the bridge after me?" "Yes, Naruto-kun, we named the bridge after you as the Great Naruto Bridge Tsunami," answered Naruto. Was overcome by emotion at the respect shown to him by the people of Wave, and he simply bowed at the waist in front of all of them and thanked them sincerely for the great honor they had bestowed upon him. Naruto spent the rest of the night interacting with Inari and interacting with other little children who seemed to see him as some sort of hero and wanted him to play with them, something which Naruto was very happy to do. And early next morning Naruto and Shizen took their leave from the new daimyo Tazuna and his family and raced back to Konoha Hokage's office. Tsunade's face split into a beaming smile as she read the document, signifying the new alliance between Konoha and Wave Country. The ascension of Tazuna, the bridge builder, to the post of daimyo of Wave Country was also good news, as having a friendly daimyo in the neighboring nation was always good news. She looked up to see as Naruto and Shizen gave the oral report regarding the mission details. Tsunade was happy to hear how easily Naruto and Shizen dealt with the opposition. It filled her with confidence that Naruto would be more than ready for the role he was expected to play in the upcoming Chunin exams in Kumo. In 3 months he was already at high Chunin level according to her own personal assessment and the reports of the various people training him. Tsunade really had to appreciate the ingenuity of her granduncle in creating the shadow clone jutsu, as Naruto had managed to train for nearly a few years in the past 4 months. Tsunade was sure that Naruto would be at a solid Jounin level in another 3 months' time. She just hoped that her son would be ready for whatever the world would throw at him when his heritage is made public. Although news that Naruto was her adopted son had made the rounds in Konoha, as she had seen many civilians who had openly disparaged him in the past had been bowing to him and calling him as Senju-sama when they crossed him in the street. Smiling at the smashing success of the mission, Tsunade addressed Naruto and said, "Sochi-kun, you performed excellently on the mission. You rest for today and return to your training tomorrow. Kakashi is scheduled to return to the village tomorrow, so he can continue your training. Now you can go," Tsunade said as she got up from her seat and hugged her son and kissed him on the forehead gently and sent him on his way. Shizen also departed from the Hokage's office and went straight to the hospital to see if there were any serious cases in need of her attention. Kumo Rakich's office. The Rakich's desk was smashed to pieces as I smashed his fist onto his desk in anger. Mabui just sighed in exasperation and signaled to an ANBU to replace the desk from the stock she had in the Rakich's tower storeroom, to replace the desks which were destroyed by the Rakich. In his temper, I didn't even notice his desk being replaced as he ranted in anger. "Bloody Konoha treehuggers, always spoiling my plans. Now I can't even try to take back Wave Country under our control, as the new daimyo has entered into an official alliance with Konoha, and if we try anything against him it will be an official declaration of war against Konoha, something the Lightning Daimyo won't agree at any costs unless we prove to him that Konoha is weak and that we can win against them. And it also seems that Konoha has another Uzumaki and he has been involved in this Wave Country fiasco. Damn, Jiraiya and Sarutobi made sure that not even a whisper leaked out that there was another surviving Uzumaki, as if we didn't suffer enough at the hands of that damn red-headed menace Kushina. She slaughtered nearly more than 1,000 of our shinobi during the Third Shinobi War. Now it seems that Konoha has another Uzumaki at their disposal, and that boy is most probably Kushina's son." I addressed Darui and said, "Darui, if Konoha is openly displaying the Uzumaki, then it means he is strong enough to protect himself. Konoha will most probably enter him in the upcoming Chunin exams. I want you to tell our genins to make sure to kill him during the exams, as we can't afford for Konoha to have another Kushina Uzumaki. Fighting that woman was a nightmare," I said, shuddering in fear, as that woman with her wind chakra enhanced sword and chakra chains which could restrain a bijou was a nightmare for both him and Bee as well to deal with. He just hoped that this new Uzumaki, who was most probably her son, was not capable of using those accursed chakra chains, as that would mean that Konoha had a way to deal with enemy Jinchuriki easily. "Rakichi-sama, should we place this boy in the bingo book? We could get lucky." And someone else might off him for his bounty. C asked with a bloodthirsty smile on his face at the thought of killing a Konoha shinobi, especially the Red Death's son. That is not a good idea, C. Darui said in his usual cool and laid-back tone. IWA has already placed him in the bingo book as a B-ranked threat, and we don't have any additional information on him, not even an image of him, so this will be of no use to us except make the other shinobi nations think that we are afraid of a kid, which is not useful for business. It is best to take care of him during the upcoming Chunin exams, Darui said, giving his opinion. Bro, yo bro, Darui makes sense, yo. B said, giving his opinion. I twitched in irritation at B's rapping, but had to grudgingly agree with his brother that Darui made sense, gritting his teeth in anger at not being able to do anything immediately. He just dismissed his subordinates and brother and returned to lifting weights in order to vent his frustrations on something. Training ground 44. 1 month after returning from Wave Futon Deadly Crosswind, Naruto softly intoned and crossed his arms and stood in a crouched position and swiftly uncrossed them as he stood up stiffly, releasing a deadly sharp crosswind in front of his body, cutting the 3 giant spiders in front of his body to pieces as they were caught in the crosshairs of the deadly sharp crosswinds generated by his jutsu. Quickly moving forward, Naruto saw another giant spider rushing towards him and so thrust both his fists forward and intoned fists of the wind god, and wind chakra in the form of his fists exploded out of his fists and smashed through the hard exoskeleton of the giant spider, killing it on the spot, and threw it into the path of another giant spider, therefore slowing it down, and Naruto simply swung his empty right hand towards it and intoned Futon Kaze no Yaiba, thereby launching a deadly blade of wind chakra towards it and splitting the body of the spider down the middle in half. Seeing a group of another 10 spiders coming towards him, Naruto flashed through a single hand seal and intoned earth-style earth flow. Spears and sharp stone spikes exploded out of the earth, impaling and killing 5 of the spiders. The other 5 spiders dodged his jutsu but were slowed down, and Naruto with a flick of his wrists launched 5 kunai enhanced with wind chakra towards the spiders, and all the 5 wind chakra enhanced kunai found their marks as they pierced through the skulls of one giant spider, each killing them instantly. When Naruto saw nearly 30 more giant spiders rushing towards him, he flashed through hand seals and spit out a massive amount of water as he supercharged the Suiton Mizurappa jutsu, washing away the oncoming rush of spiders. He then flashed through hand seals and intoned Suiton Kamakiri, and sharp waves of water rose from the massive amount of water on the ground and cut through the majority of the spiders. Naruto then slammed his foot on the ground and intoned Raiton Ikazuchi no Utage as streams of lightning tore through the ground towards the remaining oncoming spiders and roasted them alive with the power of the lightning jutsu being increased by the water done with the batch of spiders that he was dealing with. Naruto moved deeper into the forest in order to confront bigger groups of those giant spiders, as they made excellent targets for practicing his ninjutsu on. As Naruto moved deeper into the forest, his ears twitched and he ducked as a giant spider which had been hiding in a tree tried to clamp his head with its sharp pincers. Naruto immediately sprung back and used a chakra scalpel to pierce its skull, killing it on the spot. This was another thing that he enjoyed in hunting these giant spiders, as they were somehow invisible to his chakra sensing, and this only encouraged Naruto to use his other senses to track and fight them, thereby increasing the efficiency of his other senses and making sure that Naruto didn't become too dependent on his chakra sensing. In fact, Naruto was not able to sense any of the giant mutated animals present in the Forest of Death, even though they had all been influenced by the Mokuton chakra of the Shodame Hokage, who created this forest through the use of his Mokuton chakra. Naruto had no idea how those creatures escaped from his chakra sensing, but he just assumed that it was a quirk of Mokuton jutsu, as he knew that there were many things about Mokuton that were a mystery. Naruto didn't think that Mokuton was even a Kekai Genkai, as no one other than the Shodame had ever wielded it, so Naruto assumed that it was just another form of elemental release that Hashirama Senju had worked out how to use, and Naruto was determined to figure out how to use it, as it would increase the effectiveness of his jutsu repertoire by a large margin, as Naruto knew that Hashirama Senju became the most feared shinobi to be ever born, in most part due to the effectiveness of his Mokuton jutsu, but he would have to first master earth and water release to a high degree and figure out how Mokuton chakra gave life its creations. Naruto was pulled from his musings when he saw another 50 spiders converging on him. Naruto quickly created a shadow clone, and both of them flashed through hand seals and shouted out aloud, Katan Dragon Flame Bullet Futon Furyuden no Jutsu Combination Jutsu. Wrath of the White Dragon, the concentrated bullet made of fire in the form of a dragon, and the funnel of slicing wind chakra in the form of a dragon combined into a dragon made of blazing white fire, which made the surrounding shimmer with the intense heat generated, and the combination jutsu reduced the entire horde of 50 spider to ashes. Naruto then continued on towards the nest of giant spiders and came across another large group of spiders. Naruto created another 2 shadow clones, and they flashed through the hand seals for another combination jutsu that Naruto had been practicing for Earth-style Mud Flow River, Earth-style Earth Dragon Bomb, Fire-style Dragon Flame Bomb combination jutsu. Embrace of the fiery earth. A wave of molten earth and flaming mud bullets destroyed most of the nearly 100 spiders, and Naruto breathed in deeply and blew out a large number of bullets made of wind chakra. As he intoned Futon, Shinyoku, the multiple air bullets pierced through the tough exoskeleton of the spiders and killed them. Feeling the pinch on his chakra reserves from using such high-level jutsu continuously, Naruto decided to stop with the use of ninjutsu and concentrate on practicing his kenjutsu as he unsheathed Beneheim and let wind chakra coat the blade of Beneheim as he intoned Futon. Kasakiri. Naruto also created a few shadow clones to use as water storage seals to put out any fires which may spread from the destruction caused by his combination jutsus, as he didn't want his mother to wring his neck for causing a forest fire. After making sure that he didn't inadvertently start any forest fires, Naruto went on a rampage, cutting down any spiders he came across with Beneheim's deadly blade. As Naruto came across a group of 20 spiders heading towards him, he stood in front of them and loosely held his sword in a relaxed position when the spiders were within reach of him. Naruto disappeared from his spot in a burst of pure speed, and with a sound like ripping of paper, Naruto appeared behind the spiders and flicked his wrist, ridding his sword of the black blood of the spiders as he softly said Uzumaki Kenjutsu, Dance of the Songbird, and the spiders behind him collapsed as their bodies slid to the ground and in various parts from the numerous cuts Naruto had inflicted with Beneheim's wind chakra enhanced blade. Woohoo, that was awesome! Naruto shouted in delight as he saw the success of the kenjutsu move he had been trying to learn from his mother's kenjutsu scroll. Naruto then jumped high into the sky by pushing a burst of wind chakra put of the tenketsu in the soles of his feet and landed in the middle of a group of 10 giant spiders and spun his sword around him in a circle while using shape manipulation to extend the reach of Beneheim's blade using wind chakra, and cur through the bodies of all 10 spiders by beheading all of them with a single stroke of his sword, and said in a cool monotone Uzumaki Kenjutsu, circular decapitation. Naruto resealed Beneheim back in the storage seal on his arm and started attacking the spiders with pure taijutsu, breaking their tough exoskeletons with pure brute force. He started channeling chakra into his kicks and punches as broke the bodies of the giant spiders with pure brute force and nimbly evading the blows of the many limbs of the numerous spiders. Naruto had to admit that his improvised exercises to increase the strength of his punches and kicks by punching massive boulders had definitely paid off, as though he couldn't break boulders with pure brute force, yet he could definitely squish a person's insides as he crushed the thick exoskeleton protected midsection of a giant spider with a single uppercut. Naruto narrowly avoided the pincer of a spider that had taken advantage of his distracted musings and had aimed its deadly venomous pincer at his head, and with a brutal haymaker he broke its neck as he berated himself for being distracted during a fight for his life. Naruto activated his chakra scalpels on both his hands as well as high feet as he launched himself at another big group of more than 20 spiders as he carved through them by targeting their vital organs with his chakra scalpels. After nearly 2 hours of waging a one-sided war against the never-ending hordes of giant spiders in the forest of death, Naruto finally departed from the territory of the giant spiders and entered the territory of giant tigers, and was immediately assaulted by a small blonde blur which smashed into his midsection. Naruto laughed out aloud as he picked up the small white tiger cub and twirled her around. Akira-chan, I missed you too, but I was only gone for about 2 hours. Naruto chuckled as the small female white tiger nuzzled her face against his, and kept licking his face, making him chuckle in delight at how adorable she looked. But I missed you, Anakin. You didn't take me to fight those mean spiders, and I was worried about you, she said in a cute squeaky voice. Naruto just smiled at her affection for him and consoled her, saying, Don't worry, Akira-chan, I am more than a match for those mean spiders, and you know that I can't take you with me till you grow up a bit and learn some jutsu or get some fighting experience. I promised your mother that I would take care of you while she is busy. Remember, what do you think she Well, think about me if I take you along with me to a life and death battle before you are ready. Akira just snuggled further into Naruto's chest while pouting cutely, knowing that Naruto was right and her mother would definitely not be happy if she went into an active combat zone. Now don't pout, sweetheart. I promise that I will train you along with your mother to become stronger, and then I promise to take you along with me to combat. Is it okay with you? Naruto asked. And anyway, I left my clone with you to play with you, didn't I? Akira thought about it for a moment and had to admit that this was the best deal that she was going to get, so she reluctantly agreed and said, alright Anakin, but only because you promised. But you will have to start my training immediately, she demanded while trying to sound serious, but her cute high-pitched squeaky voice ruined the desired effect. S&D made her look absolutely adorable, and Naruto just squealed in delight and hugged her closer to him and nuzzled his face in her soft fur. And as Naruto started Akira on chakra control training and showed her how to walk on trees using chakra, he thought about how he had met her and the wonderful opportunity that it had provided him with when he was pondering over a solution for a problem. Flashback: it was a few days after returning from Wave Country that Naruto found himself in his mother's office, as he handed over to her the Kubikuribocho sword belonging to Zabuza that he had returned to Wave for in the company of Yugao-sensei. When he remembered about its importance and value and the sheer folly in leaving it open like that for anyone to take, he had also recovered the corpses of Zabuza and Haku from their graves and burnt them to ashes so that people like Orochimaru couldn't defile their corpses for their secrets. Now their graves were empty and were just a monument to them without the risk of anyone desecrating their graves. As Tsunade received the Kubikuribocho from her son, she said, "Good job remembering about this and retrieving it, Naruto. This will prove valuable in the future in any negotiations with Kiri after their bloody civil war ends." Naruto just bowed his head slightly in gratitude for the compliment. He managed to stop himself from blushing in embarrassment as he was becoming better at accepting compliments. "Now that you are here, there is another issue that I wish to discuss with you, Naruto. When you died, your name got erased from the Toad contract, so you are in need of a summons contract, as they are very useful in battle, especially when battling another person who uses summons, like for example Hanzo of the Salamander. And also IWA is known for using the bear and vulture contracts to summon those animals to cause mass havoc among the animals, so it is essential that you obtain a summon contract. And before you ask, no, Jiraiya is not in the village, so there is no way you can again sign the Toad contract, and while I would love for you to sign my slug contract, it does not suit your aggressive battle style and will hamper you. You will definitely need the help of a summoning contract for the plan we have for the upcoming Chunin exams." While Naruto was a bit upset that he had lost the Toad contract, he was not too hung up about it, as he had not interacted much with them, and he was only sad because it was a form of connection between Naruto and his father, who was also a Toad summoner. And while he would have loved to sign the slug summoning contract of his mother, he knew that she was right and that it would not suit his fighting style. But Naruto knew that his mother would not have brought up the issue if she didn't already have a possible solution in mind, so he simply asked, "Kachin, knowing you, I know that you already have a possible solution in mind, so don't keep me waiting and tell me what you have in mind." Tsunade just chuckled and said, "You know me too well, Sochi. While there are a few other summoning contracta in Konoha, like the ape summoning contract and the turtle summoning contract, none of them suit you, so my idea was for you to use a summoning jutsu without signing any summoning contract. This will take you to the summoning realm of the animals most suited to you. If they find you acceptable, the boss summon will let you sign their summoning." Was how I, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru obtained our summoning contracts. I think this is a very good idea for finding a suitable summoning contract for you. Naruto nodded in agreement, as he couldn't find anything wrong with the idea and found the idea of finding an animal summons mist suitable to him to be an appealing idea, but he decided to think a little bit on it first before agreeing to it. "Kachin, I am not opposed to the idea, but could you give me a few days' time to make a decision?" Naruto asked. "Not a problem, Sochi. Take as much time as you want to come to a decision, and if you don't want to go through with it, you can always sign the slug summoning contract, as Katsuyu is fond of you and would definitely agree to let you summon slugs." After Naruto took his leave, he slowly made his way towards the Forest of Death to partake in his favorite current pastime, which was keeping the population of the giant spiders in the forest under control by culling them regularly. And despite all his culling of their population, he barely made a dent in their population, as they bred very vigorously. In fact, they bred worse than rabbits. In heat, Naruto unsealed Beneheim and rushed towards their nest, and on The way he passed through the territory belonging to the giant tigers whom he was quite friendly with, all it took was beating their leader to a pulp using only taijutsu for them to start liking them, and it also helped that he made sure to cull any spiders that tried to encroach on the territory of the tigers. He guessed that also earned him some brownie points with them, as they absolutely hated the giant spiders as he was passing through the territory of the giant tigers. Naruto's sensitive hearing picked about the clicking noise made by the giant spiders, and so he followed it to find what appeared to be a small white cat being surrounded by 5 giant spiders. Now Naruto, being a self-proclaimed connoisseur of all things cute, could not in good conscience allow those nasty spiders to harm the cute white cat, so he immediately set upon them after sharpening Beneheim's blade with wind chakra and cut through all 5 of the spiders before they could harm the cute little kitten. After taking care of them, Naruto gently picked up the little kitten who had closed her eyes and was shivering in fear. Naruto slowly started running his hands through her soft fur, calming her down as the kitten slowly calmed down and slowly opened her eyes to reveal beautiful blue eyes. She looked curiously at this strange creature who had saved her life. "Hey little lady, how are you? Those nasty spiders didn't harm you, did they?" Naruto asked gently as he cuddled with the kitten and looked over her to see if there were any injuries. Naruto was definitely shocked to hear the little kitten in his arms reply in perfect Japanese, "Thank you for saving me, mister. I was so scared that those nasty spiders were going to eat me," she said in a cute squeaky voice. "Maybe I do need to take a break from training. I can swear I just heard the cute kitten talk to me." Naruto pondered aloud. Naruto felt a small paw slapping his cheek as the small cutie in his arms scowled cutely at him while growling cutely and said, "You big dummy, I am not a kitten. I am a white tiger cub and I belong to the White Tiger Summons clan. That is why I can speak to you now." Naruto was surprised as he had never heard of a White Tiger Summons. "Oh, is that so?" Naruto asked, and the little tiger cub in his hands nodded at him while trying to look imperious, but she instead ended up looking incredibly adorable, making Naruto squeal in delight at how cute she looked, and hugged her tighter, making her squeal in protest as Naruto squeezed her tightly to his body. "Sorry little lady, I have never heard of a White Tiger Summons, so I couldn't recognize you. Now what is your name, little lady?" Naruto asked. "My name is Akira, and my mother is Hiranya, the boss summon of the White Tiger clan, and the reason you don't know about the White Tiger Summons is because we have had no summoner in many years." Akira said. "Oh, so you are the boss lady's daughter. So how did you end up here, Akira-chan?" Naruto asked. "That is something that I would like to know as well," came a regal-sounding female voice from behind them as there was a massive explosion of smoke from behind them, and it slowly cleared to reveal the form of a massive white tiger almost the same size as Gamabunta, the toad boss. The massive tigress had on her a beautiful emerald green haori with the kanji for Vidra on it. Despite her massive size, she moved towards them with a certain feline grace, like a predator stalking its prey with a shout of caution glowing. Naruto, as to the identity of the giant tigress Akira, immediately bolted out from his hands and rushed towards the giant tigress, who gently picked her up and lovingly licked her all over and closely inspected her to make sure that she was not injured. After making sure that her darling daughter was not injured, Hiranya turned her attention to the human who had been holding her daughter in his grasp and growled, slowly making a noise like a slow rumbling earthquake. "Human, why did you have my daughter in your custody? Answer truthfully, or else they will be your last words in this life," she warned Naruto. Seeing her mother getting angry at the person who had saved her life, Akira spoke up, hoping to calm down her mother. "Kachin, please calm down. That person saved my life from the giant spiders. He didn't harm me. Please don't be angry with him." Hearing her daughter's words, Hiranya calmed down, and Naruto let out a sigh of relief, as he definitely didn't want to fight a pissed-off boss summon, especially one that was also a pissed-off mother. He mentally thanked Akira for helping him out of a tight spot. "What Akira said is true. I have no intention of harming her or fighting with you," Naruto further reassured her. Hiranya could sense that the human was speaking the truth, so she instead turned her attention to her daughter and said, "If the human hadn't saved you, you would have become a meal for the giant spiders. This is why I tell you not to wander off, but you never listen to me, and anyway, how did you end up here?" "Well, you see, Kachin, while I was exploring our realm I came across a big seal and wanted to see what it did, and I remembered your lesson about using chakra to activate a seal, so I pushed my chakra into it and poof, I ended up in this forest," Akira told her mother sheepishly. There was a loud smack sound as Hiranya smacked her forehead in exasperation and said, "Akira-chan, only you would accidentally activate a reverse summoning seal and end up in the forest of death." "Sorry, Kachin." Akira said in a sheepish voice, but Hiranya waved off her apologies as she was just glad that her darling daughter was unharmed. Talking about unharmed, Hiranya turned her attention to the human who had saved her daughter and bowed her head slightly as she said, "Thank you very much for saving my daughter's life. I don't know what I would do if anything happened to her now. If you don't mind, I think it is time for us to leave." Naruto waved off her thanks as he said that it was his pleasure to help Akira-chan. And just as Hiranya was about to reverse summon herself and her daughter back to their realm, Akira whispered something in her mother's ear. "Kachan, I like this human. Do you think that we could make him our summoner, as I would like to spend some more time with him?" Hiranya thought about it for a moment. "I don't see anything wrong with what Akira has suggested. This human seems to be a good person, and we have not had a summoner since Erashiro Uzumaki, the Nidame Uzukage himself, and that was a very long time ago. We will perform the usual test on him and see if he passes." Thinking this, Hiranya decided to propose her offer to the human. "Human, my daughter has suggested making you our summoner, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So would you like a chance to become a summoner if the White Tiger clan?" Hiranya asked. Now Naruto was shocked, as he was definitely not expecting the chance to become a summoner of white tigers, when he saved what he had assumed was a cute little kitten from the giant spiders. But while he didn't want to turn down a golden opportunity, he also wanted to know more about the abilities of the White Tiger summons before accepting anything. "While I would be honored to become your summoner, I would first like to know about the abilities of the White Tiger summons before agreeing," Naruto said respectively, hoping that the boss summon wouldn't take offense. Instead of taking offense, Hiranya in fact nodded approvingly at him as she saw that he was not an idiot who ran into a situation blindly. Deciding to answer his question, Hiranya said the White Tiger summons are masters of different wind style and lightning style ninjutsu and kenjutsu, and a few are also masters of genjutsu. We are also one of the very rare few clans of summons who have access to the fabled sage mode or senjutsu. Hearing all this, Naruto had absolutely no problem in accepting the offer, as one simply didn't turn down the opportunity to become a practitioner of senjutsu. Senjutsu was what had brought Jiraiya his fabled title of the Toad Sage. In fact, Naruto knew the names of only two persons who had ever mastered senjutsu. They were Hashirama Senju and Jiraiya. Naruto bowed deeply in front of Hiranya and said, "Hiranya-sama, I would be delighted and honored to be allowed to become a summoner of the White Tiger summons." Hiranya smiled at him and said, "Excellent. But before signing the contract, you have to meet the elder of the White Tiger clan and pass a test." Naruto immediately asked, "Is the test dangerous?" "You could say that the elder will send you into a trance where she will be able to view all your memories, and you will also have to fight your inner darkness. If you fail the test, then you will be returned back here with your memories of the White Tiger summons erased. So would you still like to try?" Naruto was never one to back down from a challenge, so he just nodded his head in agreement. Pleased with Naruto's answer, Hiranya picked him up and placed him on her back before reverse summoning all three of them to the summoning realm of the White Tiger clan. Naruto quickly recovered from the disorientation caused by the sudden reverse summoning and quickly took in his surroundings and found that he was in the most beautiful place that he had ever seen. Even in pictures, this place was Mother Nature in her full glory, as Naruto saw lush green trees that were at least a century-old, beautiful waterfalls and streams with crystal-clear water, and the sweet, intoxicating scent of flowers of all kinds in full bloom. In a few words, Naruto thought, if there's ever a heaven on earth, it is here and only here. "What is this place?" Naruto asked out aloud in awe as he saw many white tigers of various sizes lounging around in the beautiful forest that seemed to be present on a hill slope. Hiranya smirked as she saw the absolutely awestruck look on the boy's face and said, "Welcome to ＤISCLAIMER, the realm of the White Tigers. Beautiful, is it not?" Naruto could only nod in agreement as he was still absorbed in trying to take in the beauty of his new surroundings. She decided to give him a bit of background information and said, "Seshikalam is a massive forest which is spread over a massive area consisting of 7 massive hills and valleys. We are currently in the central hill where the elder White Tiger sage is usually found." Hiranya let Naruto look around for a few minutes, but finally decided to shake him out of his sightseeing as she said, "Naruto, you can look around later, but I think that it is time for you to meet the elder White Tiger sage. Come follow me." And Hiranya led Naruto through a winding path up the hill and finally led him through a beautiful apple grove and finally stopped when she reached a beautiful small pond at the center of the grove, and there, lounging in the shadow of a massive apple tree on the banks of the pond, was what looked Like an elderly white tigress of average size wearing a beautiful emerald haori with a design of silver flames on it with the kanji for tiger sage on it, and Naruto couldn't see her clearly as she seemed to be wrapped tightly into herself and the haori covered the majority of her body, and while many people would be fooled by her lazy and elderly appearance, Naruto was definitely not fooled as he knew just what kind of strength a sage had, so he didn't relax his body when in her presence. Naruto. That is the elder white tiger sage Kali-sama. Treat her with respect, Hiranya warned Naruto, and Naruto nodded his head in agreement, not taking his eyes off her seemingly sleeping form of the elder sage. You have brought an interesting young human to my abode, Hiranya-chan, came the silky velvet voice as she suddenly appeared next to Naruto in a burst of pure speed. Naruto was shocked to see the speed at which the elder sage had moved, and as he got a good look at her he saw that she was walking on her hind legs like a human, and her front legs held a beautiful katana in them which was sheathed. She was covered in pristine white fur with black stripes, and despite her old age Naruto could literally sense the amount of power rippling off of her. This is Naruto Uzumaki Kali-sama, and I would like you test him to see if he is worthy of becoming our summoner, Hiranya said respectfully, and Uzumaki, haven't seen one of them in a long time. Come here boy, let me take a good look at you, Kali said as she carefully held Naruto's face in her hands and looked carefully at his features. Yes, you are an Uzumaki, alright, I can see Arashi's features and must be related to him. Then she asked, yes Kali-sama, Arashi Uzumaki is my maternal grandfather, but most of my features I have inherited from my father, the Yondaime Hokage, Naruto said respectfully, Arashi's grandson, and the son of the Yellow Flash himself. You have really brought a gem before me, Hiranya-chan, Kali said in a delighted voice. Maybe after all these years we will get a worthy summoner, she said as she seemed to assess Naruto. Enough chit-chat, now come child, let's see if you are worthy enough of being the summoner of the White Tiger clan of Seshikalam, she said, and gently but firmly held Naruto's arm and led him to a hidden waterfall that was brimming with chakra to Naruto's senses, and filled a small bowl with that water and handed it to Naruto saying, child, drink that water and lay down comfortably, as it will take you into a trance where you will have to face your innermost fears and your darkest thoughts, and I will also be using a special jutsu of mine to see through your memories. Seeing as he had no other option, Naruto accepted the bowl of water and quickly gulped it down and immediately lay down on the ground as he felt himself become increasingly dizzy inside Naruto's mindscape. Naruto found himself waking up in the same surroundings as the first time he had met the Kyuubi, in his mind basically in a sewer. He looked around, trying to sense someone other than him whom he was supposed to confront, when he suddenly ducked down, avoiding the blade of a very familiar sword aimed at decapitating him, and jumped a little distance forward and turned around to get a better look at his attacker. He found himself face to face with his mirror image, but in dark red and black clothes dripping with blood and a wild, unhinged and feral look in his eyes. Oh, so this is my Yami personality, Naruto said aloud as he easily kept dodging the sword slashes from his Yami counterpart. You are not that strong, Naruto commented as he deflected a sword slash attempt at his abdomen with his own Beneheim and went on the offensive as he wove a web of steel around his opponent's blade and finally disarmed him with a lightning quick counter riposte which ripped his blade from his hands as Naruto kept his blade at the throat of his Yami personality. The Yami personality snarls at him and spits out at him through tightly clenched, I would have squashed your idiotic pathetic self, but ever since you have dropped your idiot persona and been attending those mind healing sessions with that damned Yamanaka and living with the Hokage and Shizen, I have been gradually growing weaker as you stopped suppressing your negative emotions, and I no longer had the Kyuubi strengthening your negative emotions to empower me. But it doesn't matter now, I have a chance to destroy you and take control of the body. I am then going to destroy Konoha for everything I have suffered due to the fools living their Yami, Naruto snarled out as he suddenly sprouted 4 black chakra chains from his back and caught the surprised Naruto with them. As Yami, Naruto smirked in triumph and moved forward to slice off Naruto's head. He was suddenly immobilized when he met the original Naruto's eyes, and before he could make any sense of what was happening, he saw that he was bound in his own chakra chains, and was also wrapped up in a number of paralyzing tags, and was basically immobilized completely when he saw the original Naruto coming into his view holding the Usagi hand sign and softly intoning Jinjutsu technique reversal. He realized that he was caught in a Jinjutsu as he saw the Yami Naruto snarling in anger at him. Naruto said, surprised, that was a Jinjutsu that I had only recently learned. I tricked you into attacking yourself by making you think that you caught me. That is the beauty of this technique, as it makes the victim attack himself with his jutsu, all the while thinking that he was attacking his opponent. And while low-level genjutsu such as this should have no effect on you, you forget that I have the same chakra capacity as you, and therefore I am able to influence your senses with genjutsu by overloading a simple genjutsu so that I can for a few seconds trap you in the genjutsu. And while you eventually broke out of it, it is too late for you now, though I have to say that you took me by surprise when you used those chakra chains, even though they look like a sickly perversion of Kachin's chakra chains, and I also sense some of the Kyuubi's chakra in them, and I assume that the excess yang chakra of the Kyuubi used to empower you allowed you to unlock them. Yami Naruto snarled in anger and shouted out, "You have me at your mercy, so kill me and get this over with. Live your pathetic life forgiving everyone who wronged you, and placing your life in danger trying to save the lives of those foolish Konoha civilians." Naruto just chuckled sardonically and said, "Oh, you bloody fool, you think I forgave the villagers of Konoha and that I am still a Konoha shinobi because I want to protect them or save them? I am still a Konoha shinobi only because people I consider my family live here. Kachin Shizen Nachan, my beautiful panda, Haimenko sensei, Kakashi sensei, Ian Nachan, Tochiajas, these are all people I consider family, and all of them live in Konoha, and that is the only reason that I fight for Konoha. And as far as forgiving the villagers or hating them and trying to take revenge on them, I am not going to do anything of that sort. In fact, I don't even hate them, I am just apathetic towards them, because the opposite of love is not hate but apathy. I don't give a damn about them as long as they stay out of my way and don't cause harm to my family and friends, because if they harm them I will wipe out anyone responsible for that act, may they be anyone. And as for revenge, I simply don't care enough about them to waste my time trying to take revenge on them and becoming like that brooding emo bastard Sasuke. As long as they leave me alone, I will leave them alone. That is all there is to it." As Naruto looked to Yami Naruto, he saw a look of understanding pass through his face as Yami Naruto finally said, after a few minutes spent digesting his words, "I have been a fool, haven't I? Instead of focusing on living this new chance of life with a loving mother, sisters and others, I tried to destroy all that for the chance for some meaningless revenge. You were right in everything you said, and it is time for me to go, so as this will be the last time we will meet, good luck down the line, original, and live well and protect our family with all you have." And before Naruto's eyes his Yami personality burst into a shower of golden sparkles, and Naruto felt as if a huge burden was removed from the top of his head without himself ever realizing that he was carrying such a burden. And it was only then that Naruto realized that he could sense some foreign chakra flowing through his brain, but he could somehow see that it didn't have any negative intentions towards him, as he could only feel a sense of curiosity from the foreign chakra and realized that it was most probably Kali-sama going through his memories. And as Naruto realized that he could sense the emotions linked to the foreign chakra, he whooped in joy, as this could prove to be a boon in his profession, where you never knew whom you could trust other than your friends and family. It would make identifying spies, traitors, and enemies very easy, as he could simply identify their emotions. And as Naruto was musing about the advantages offered by his newfound ability, he felt the foreign chakra leave his body, and then he was abruptly ejected from his mindscape as his unconscious body in the real world started stirring awake. As Naruto slowly woke from his induced sleep, he saw Aranya looking at him with a concerned expression, as Kali-sama, who it seemed was also unconscious, also woke up. Naruto slowly got up and stretched his body as he worked out the kinks in his arms and legs, as it seemed like as if he had sleeping in the same position for a long time. In the same position, after regaining feeling in his limbs, Naruto asked Aranya, "Aranya-san, for how long have I been sleeping?" "You have been unconscious for nearly an hour and a half, kid. I was starting to get worried," Aranya answered. And then as Aranya moved on to see if Kali-sama was alright, Naruto activated his sensing ability and immediately collapsed on the ground, clutching his head in pain as he experienced a sensory overload from the emotions of all the numerous number of nearby white tigers hitting him at once. And as he was about to lose his consciousness from the sensory overload, he managed to turn off his newfound ability. Naruto lay there for a few minutes as he let his mind recuperate from the sudden unexpected overload. He also slowly circulated a small amount of healing chakra through his head in order to ease the pain. Aranya approached Kali-sama and asked, "So Kali-sama, what is your judgment? Did he pass?" Kali smirked and said, "He passed with flying colors, Aranya-chan. He has my approval to become a summoner for our clan. You have indeed found a diamond in the rough with this human, Aranya-chan," Kali said in pleased voice, happy at finally founding a worthy summoner after such a long time. When they saw Naruto collapse on the ground clutching his head as he groaned on agony, they immediately rushed towards him to try to see what happened, but they couldn't understand what was happening, and Hiranya assumed that something had gone wrong with the test, but both she and Kali calmed down when they saw him slowly recover on his own from whatever was ailing him, so they let him have a few minutes to recover, and Kali also sensed Naruto healing himself with medical jutsu. After Naruto managed to recover from his sudden breakdown, Hiranya immediately asked, "What happened, kid? You scared us with how you suddenly collapsed in agony." Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head and answered, "Well, you see, when I defeated my dark personality, I suddenly started being able to sense emotions of others, and when I activated it after regaining consciousness, my brain was overloaded from all the emotions I was sensing from all the numerous white tigers around here, and that caused a sensory overload and the pain, but I luckily managed to deactivate it before I lost consciousness. Guess I have to work hard to master that particular skill without overloading my brain." Aha, the emotions sensing of the Uzumaki clan. I remember Orochimaru telling me about it, about how a very few members of his clan had that skill, for example his mother and also his aunt Mito Uzumaki. In my opinion, that is a very useful skill to have, especially in the profession of a shinobi, Kali said, revealing that she knew about this particular skill before Naruto could react to this particular news about his clan. Hiranya informed him about his eligibility to become a white tiger summoner, as he had apparently passed the test. "Really?" Naruto asked, just to confirm for himself the good news again. "Yes, kid, really," Hiranya answered and chuckled in amusement along with Kali when Naruto whooped in joy and punched his fist into the air and did a little dance in his joy and excitement. "Ah, that typical Uzumaki exuberance. You can't beat it out of an Uzumaki however much you discipline yourself," Kali said as she fondly remembered her last summoner Arashi's exuberant behavior. And after Naruto stopped his celebration, Hiranya made him sign the white tiger contract, and then Kali took his left arm in her hand, and after channeling chakra into her finger she took a needle, and while channeling her chakra through it she drew a tattoo for a white tiger on his left bicep and said, "Now Naruto-kun, you can summon any white tiger by channeling your chakra through this tattoo, or by using your blood to activate this tattoo in case if you are in a situation where you are unable to use your chakra." "Thank you, Kali-sama," Naruto said as he bowed his head in respect to the elder sage. Kali just smirked in amusement and waved off his thanks as she said, "Drop the honorifics, kid. I know you Uzumakis, and I know that formality doesn't suit you, so why don't you stop doing that and simply call me Ba-sama?" Naruto simply smirked impishly and said, "As you wish, Ba-sama," making Kali just chuckle aloud. Hiranya disturbed the moment of joviality as she informed Naruto, "Naruto-kun, now it is time for you to return to Konoha, but remember to summon the various white tigers to get to know them and their skill sets and practice working with them, and also Ajiro will be your personal summons after she grows up, so I will be leaving her in your care sometime so that both of you can get used to each other." It was then that Naruto asked a question that had been bugging him. "Ba-sama, who was Ajiro?" I read his name while signing the summoning contract. Naruto asked. "Ajiro-sama was the progenitor of the Senju clan and the first user of the Mokuton Jutsu that Hashirama Senju was famous for. I don't know a lot of details about him as he lived a very long time ago, and many details about him are lost to time," Kali answered, telling Naruto the few things she had learned from her grandmother, who was the previous elder sage of their clan. Naruto immediately asked another question then, "Can you tell me if Mokuton is a Kekai Genkai, or if I can learn to use it? If it is not, no Naruto-kun, Mokuton is not a Kekai Genkai. It is a combination of Doton Suiton and an incredible amount of Yang Chakra. To give life to your creation you need an incredible life force in you in order to be able to use Mokuton, and yes, you can learn to use Mokuton Jutsu as you have an incredible amount of Yang Chakra in you due to your Uzumaki heritage and also due to being a former container for the Yang portion of the Kyubi's Chakra," Kali answered. "And before you go, I have something to tell you. I saw how you dealt with your dark half and also most of your life, and I have to say I am impressed with how well you have adapted to everything that life has thrown at you and still remained a genuinely good person who values his friends and family without turning into a revenge-obsessed person like your ex-teammate. Hold on to your family, Naruto-kun, as nothing is more important in this world than the safety and happiness of your family," Kali said. And then Naruto asked, "Ba-sama, when you were looking through my memories I felt a strange chakra unlike anything I ever sensed before. It was incredibly powerful and was teeming with vitality. What was it that Naruto-kun was senjutsu or Nature chakra, it is incredibly powerful, but also the process to learn to use it is very difficult and dangerous. You need at least a Kage level chakra reserve and also very good chakra control and patience to learn it. We the White Tiger clan, along with the toads of Mt. Maibaku, the snakes of Ryuchi Cave, the slugs of Shikatsu Forest, and the apes of Kishkinda Mountain, one of the very rare summons, who can use this Senjutsu chakra. And before you ask, yes, I will teach it to you when you are ready, but you must not try to mess with it by yourself, as Utar might lead to your death. In fact, the fact that you can sense it in first place is a surprise, as not even the most advanced of chakra sensors are able to sense it. Kali said, warning Naruto about the dangers of trying to mess around with Senjutsu chakra, the corrupted Senjutsu chakra in the seal used on you by that twisted snake Orochimaru. May be the reason that you are able to sense Senjutsu chakra, as your body might have become accustomed to it, as it helped in repairing your chakra coils after they almost all ruptured. This may actually help you in learning to use Senjutsu chakra more easily, but it is still incredibly dangerous. So Naruto-kun, I want you to make a promise to me that you will not try to mess around with Senjutsu chakra till I deem you ready, and then I myself will teach you how to harness the incredible power of Senjutsu. Kali said. Naruto saw no problem with that. I promise not to mess around with Senjutsu chakra till you deem me ready to learn about it. That's my promise, Ba-sama, and you saw my memories, so you know that I never break a promise once I have made it. Naruto reassured her. Kali nodded her head in satisfaction once Naruto gave her his word, and then said, now it is time for you to go back, Naruto-kun, Kali said. And after Naruto said his goodbye to Akira, who was delighted to learn that Naruto had been accepted as their summoner, and the fact that she would be his personal summon once she grew up and learned to fight, and with that Hiranya laid a paw on his shoulder and reverse summoned him back to the Forest of Death. After Naruto found himself back in the Forest of Death, he saw that it was evening, so he immediately set about completing his physical conditioning routine, as his clones had continued his training in other skills as usual. After Naruto returned home, he saw that both his sister and mother already present, so he decided not to put off the conversation for later, and so simply walked up to Hus' mother and said, Kachin, my trouble with the summoning contract has been solved. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Shizen asked. Naruto bared his left arm to the both of them as he showed them the tattoo of the Snow White Tiger, and both of them, especially Tsunade, immediately recognized it as a summoning tattoo, as she also had one of Katsuyu on her left arm. You are looking at the newest summoner of the White Tiger clan, Naruto said proudly to his mother and sister. You don't mean the White Tiger summons of the Nide Musuka Jarashiro Uzumaki? Do you? Tsunade asked her son in shock, as she knew that the White Tiger clan was a major summoning contract and no one knew what had happened to it after the death of the Nide Musukage during the sacking of Yuzu. Yes, exactly, those White Tigers. In fact, according to the contract I signed, it was also the summoning contract of Ajura, who was supposedly the progenitor of the Senju clan, Naruto said, shocking Tsunade completely. Tsunade finally recovered from her shock and said with a chuckle, now we can definitely say that you the heir to the Senju clan. And my son Naruto also informed her about the Tiger Elder Sage's views on the Mokuton not being a Kekai Genkai, and how she thought that Naruto should be capable of learning to use it, but it was still very far away in the future if it was even possible. Tsunade agreed with the Elder Sage's views on Mokuton, as she knew that no one other than who had the Shodaime cells grafted to them like Tenzo had ever used the Mokuton, but none of his descendants or his ancestors other than apparently Ajura had ever been able to use it, and according to the Elder Sage, Ajura had learned to use Mokuton and it was not an inherited Kekai Genkai. Tsunade hoped that Naruto managed to learn Mokuton, as he would then be able to protect himself much better, as she had seen firsthand how obscenely powerful the true Mokuton jutsu were, like they were used by her grandfather and not the Muvkuri of Mokuton jutsu that Tenzo used, which was not even half of its true potential. And the reason for this, in Tsunade's opinion, was Tenzo's lacking yang chakra reserves. Tsunade was brought out of her musings when her son said, Kachin, Kali Basama also promised to teach me Senjutsu when she feels that I am ready. Tsunade was a little worried at her son trying to learn Senjutsu, as she knew how dangerous it can be, but she also knew that he would be learning under expert guidance, and it would also increase his power levels massively, as she knew how dangerous Jiraiya was even in his incomplete sage mode. Tsunade was very happy at her son's incredible good luck, as she said, Sochi-kun, you were incredibly lucky today. You got to sign a summoning contract with one of the major summoning clan. I would suggest that you regularly summon them and practice fighting along with them, as it will be very useful in the future. As Naruto was about to leave for his room to turn in for the night, Naruto smacked his forehead as he couldn't believe that he forgot telling his mother and sister something so important. And Kachin, my problem of an alternative personality, my Yami self to be exact, has been solved, Naruto said as he told about his test and how he had overcome his Yami personality in battle along with his newfound ability to sense emotions. And before you scold me for being reckless, it was once in a lifetime opportunity, and I had no other choice, and so I felt that the risk was worth it, Naruto said as he saw his mother and sister puffing up in anger at his actions. Both Shizen and Tsunade calmed down as they thought over his words and realized that he was right in the fact that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, something which was worth the risk. Unable to scold him for his actions, Tsunade simply pulled his face into her boss Sam as captured him in a tight hug and said in a soft voice, Sochi, I know that the risk was worth it, but please remember that I am a mother, and for me, no reward is worth risking you for it. But I know that as a shinobi I can't stop you from taking risks, but next time before taking such a risk remember that you and Shizen are the only family that I have left, and if anything happened to you I won't be able to survive such a blow at my age. On hearing his mother's words, Naruto felt bad about his actions. Even he knew that his actions were correct, so he just assured his mother by saying that he would avoid taking any unnecessary risks in the future. And Tsunade decided to leave the topic as she knew that this was the best promise that she was going to get out of her son, and she knew that as a shinobi her son would be required to take risks in the field, and so was satisfied with his promise to avoid taking unnecessary risks. Shizen was also satisfied with her little brother's promise as she too knew that this was the best they were going to get out of him. It was then that Tsunade remembered the bit about Naruto's new ability and said, it is just like my grandmother Mito's ability to sense negative emotions, and your sensory overload means that you will have to practice a lot in order to become comfortable and proficient in using it, and I would suggest that you seek the help of Inoichi in practicing it as he is a master of the mind and could definitely help you, and it is essential for you to master this ability as it is very useful and will definitely save your life more than once. End of flashback. It had been weeks since then, and as per his mother's and Hiranya's advice, Naruto had regularly summoned different white tigers and got to know them as well as became familiar with their skill sets and practiced fighting alongside them. He even learnt some kenjutsu moves by sparring with some of his summons which were kenjutsu users, and even from Kali Basama, who was a monster with her sword. Naruto has also babysat Akira a number of times as Hiranya dumped her daughter on Naruto to babysit whenever he was not on a mission, whenever she got tired of dealing with her hyperactive daughter and wanted a break to take a nap, as tigers were inherently lazy creatures except Akira, whom Naruto found out was a hyperactive ball of energy. Naruto also got help from Inoichi in practicing and mastering his sensory jutsu and its effect of sensing emotions, as he gave Naruto a few exercises to build a mind palace as it would help him in dealing with all the emotions he was sensing, and Naruto was currently practicing those very exercises as he watched Akira try to master the tree walking exercise. And after almost 1 hour of that, it was getting dark, and so Naruto stopped Akira's practice, and after promising to continue the training the next day, Naruto went home with Akira in tow, and after having dinner with his mother and sister and spending a few hours working on his 5th level of Fuinjutsu, which was an introduction to intermediate ceiling theory. It consisted of new languages and ideas on chakra. The volume also discussed about transforming various components of ninjutsu into fuinjutsu, like infusing an element like lightning or fire into barriers, and some ideas on how to suppress various jutsu. It was very tiring work as Naruto needed to consult various topics from various other books in order to properly understand the 5th volume of fuinjutsu, but his shadow clones made the extremely time-consuming much more easy, and after that, Naruto turned in for the day as he went to sleep with Akira cuddled with him.